All right, I'll kick it off then since it's 7:01. So I'm Patrick Eagle. I'm acting as chair tonight, and I'll call this meeting to order. When I call your name, please confirm you're present and you can hear me. I'll start with the commissioners. Sandy Brock, are you here?
I am here, present.
Helen Cheney
I am present and here.
and Jonathan Nickerson.
I'm here.
And Alicia Bergeron is absent. Leah Cameron
Here.
and Samantha Leon.
Lion present.
And okay. So I guess I'll read this off, presuming that I need to. This open meeting of the Conservation Commission is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we've been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of the public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted on the town's website, graftonmad.gov, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. For this meeting, the Conservation Commission is convening by telephone and video conference via Zoom as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note this is recorded. All supporting materials that have been provided to the Commission are available on the town's website, and the public is encouraged to follow along using the provided agenda. So I will cover the ground rules, which is, as acting chair, I'll introduce each speaker on the agenda. After remarks are concluded, I will go down the line of members, inviting each by name, inviting each to provide any comments, questions, or motions. Please remember to mute your phone or computer when not speaking. After members have spoken, I will forward the public comment as follows. Reading any public comments, questions received in advance of the meeting, followed by real-time board and or applicant responses. I will read real-time comments, questions typed by computer participants in the chat feature, followed by real-time board applicant responses. Please note anyone wishing to contribute comments or questions via the chat feature that need to be addressed to everyone, not any sole individual in private chat. Each vote of the meeting will be conducted via roll call vote. So I see a couple of continuances, and I see one attendee out there. Is there anything we should start with, Leah, that people are here for?
So if they can actually type in the chat what they're here for, we're actually not sure.
Okay.
And while we wait for that, if you want to do votes on those two continuations, that's totally fine.
Okay. So 21 Meadowbrook Road, single family house, pursuant to the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act and the Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Grafton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, October 6, 2020 via Zoom to act upon a notice of intent and application for Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw permit for the construction of a single family house at 21 Meadowbrook Road, Grafton, Massachusetts. The link and access information to the meeting will be posted to the Grafton Mass Conservation website. The application is on file and available electronically for public inspection at the Grafton Mass Conservation Commission page. The applicant has requested a continuance to 10/20. So could I have a motion to continue?
I move that we continue this public hearing to October 20th, 2020.
I second that.
Thank you. Motion by Sandy and seconded by Helen. Sandy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Jonathan?
Yes.
Helen?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. And that's everyone, right? Yes. And let's see. Let's just go on to the next continuance. 88 Adams Road, 39 lot subdivision. Pursuant to the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, the Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, and the Grafton Stormwater Management Bylaw, the Grafton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, October 6th, via 2020 via Zoom to act upon a notice of intent. Application for the Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw permit and application for Grafton Stormwater Management Bylaw permit for the construction of a 39 lot subdivision at 88 Adams Road called the Ridings in Grafton, Massachusetts. The application is on file and available for public inspection in the Conservation Commission office Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 4:30 p.m. The applicant has requested continuance to October 20th, 2020. Do I have a motion?
I move that we continue the hearing until October 20th, 2020.
I second that.
Thank you. It's moved by Sandy and seconded by Helen. Sandy, how do you vote on that?
Yes.
Helen?
Yes.
Jonathan?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Motion passes, will be continued to October 20th. Let's see, I see a hand raised by the participants. Have we heard anything in chat? I don't know if oh, there it is. Oh, that's just Samantha's.
If you want, I can click allow to talk. Maybe they can't type.
Sure.
Why not?
All right, if you guys can hear us, I clicked allow to talk, but you are muted on your end if you'd like to speak.
Okay, hello,
Hi.
can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Jeff?
This is Jeff and Linda Underwood at 86 Adams Road. Just curious, as this is another continuance of a long series of continuances with this project. Are there any limitations to the number of continuances, or do there have to be sufficient reasons to continue a discussion on this item?
So this is Sandy Brock, and I can answer that. We've actually had this come up previously on another project. We actually had gone, I had actually gone to a DEP outreach for conservation commissioners, and I asked that specific question because I actually didn't know the answer to it. What I was told by DEP, the central region, was that it's the owner's choice of when to ask for continuance. I then asked, well, how long can we go on with that? Because at some point it's not reasonable. And they basically said that if it goes on for more than 2 years, we can actually deny the continuance. The other thing that we can do is if they continue for a prolonged time, what we can do is ask them to re-advertise it so that the abutters and so forth are notified. So in this particular case, I understand that they've requested several continuances. That is the the option the applicant has. They are the ones responsible for requesting for a continuance and actually closing a hearing also. Hopefully that answers. We don't have a lot of control over this. It has to go for 2 years without any substantial changes or anything else to the plans. There is no 90 days and you're done or anything like that. Our concern is that if you extend it for so long, the abutters don't show up because it's been so long. If it goes too long, we'll also ask them to re-notify everyone.
Yep, okay. Can we find
Check.
out,
Yeah,
oh.
check.
can we?
Can you still hear us?
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes.
Can we find out why he's back in the Conservation Commission? What's going on with that? the reasoning behind it? Because last meetings we went to were the planning board meetings, and he had already gone through the Conservation Commission, but now he's back again.
So he
So-
hasn't, I'm sorry, and Leah, you can help me with this. He hasn't received any approval yet from the Conservation Commission. So sometimes,
Correct.
yeah, so sometimes if you're going to two different boards, you'll wait to get through one before you finish the other. So he can have an active file and an active review and by just asking for continuances. So we have not issued any approval at all. And as I said, it's the choice of the applicant to request the continuance.
This is Jeff Underwood. Is there a particular issue with regard to the Conservation Commission that is causing a delay here?
Leah, do we have the
So-
status?
The current status is that the applicant has been going back and forth between planning and conservation for a little while. Both those boards have hired Graves Engineering to do peer review work. Graves has been trying to balance the review between the two instead of the alternate way to go is that every time the applicant makes a set of revisions for one board or committee, the peer reviewer reviews those, issues a letter, but then they go to the other committee and they end up doing the same thing. So between Graves and staff, we've been trying to get all the revisions taken care of at once and then reviewed in one massive letter. He had some comments outstanding in his mostly in the last planning section of that review to address, but we have been waiting on hopefully a final sign off from the peer reviewer before we take conclusive action on that permit. So right now that's the piece we're waiting on right now. We got right up to today and didn't get that letter. So we asked the applicant if they still wanted to come and talk about it or not, but that we wouldn't have a concrete answer or vote to take without those comments from our peer reviewer.
Thank you. And can you provide, you mentioned a 2-year timeline. Can you tell us where we are at the present time in that timeline?
So with it having to be 2 years of no substantial activity, I believe they just spoke at our last hearing. So we would have barely started a 2-year clock since no significant activity from them. We have been hearing from them on and off, and they have come and given periodic updates and revisions. So we would be at the bare minimum of that clock starting. They would have to go silent for like those 2 years, basically, which is the case we had on another project in the past.
Okay, so just so I understand, as long as they respond with something, it restarts the clock?
Basically, yes. You can always keep an eye on our webpage or call or email the office. Each project gets its own webpage as well as our agenda being posted. And we try to keep that as up to date as we possibly can. This last continuance only came through this afternoon. We have to post with the clerk by noon, so we didn't have a chance to post that revision this time, but we do our best to have all the information out there so that people don't have to attend and then find out that their item isn't actually being heard that night.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I've never done this before, so I just close off here now if we're finished?
Correct.
Okay, bear with me because I've never done it before.
Leave.
Should be a leave button.
Yeah.
I saw it, I just saw it. Thank you.
Yep.
Good evening.
All right.
Guess we're done.
So I see that
Leave meeting.
There they go.
all right, I'm gonna continue down this list and go with the meeting minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review those? And does anyone have any comments, or do I have a motion to accept them?
I'll make a motion to accept the September 15th, 2020 meeting minutes of the Grafton Conservation Commission.
I'll second it.
All right, thank you. Motion by Helen and seconded by Jonathan. Sandy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Helen
Yes,
and Jonathan?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. So meeting minutes for September 15th are accepted. So the next up is the certificate of compliance reissuance request.
So I can fill you guys in on this one. This was an old order, as you can tell by the number being in the 300s. It was closed out in the past with a complete certificate of compliance, but the document actually had a reference to the wrong DEP number on it. So even though that got recorded, it was now caught in someone else's closing process, and we just need to make a corrected document that has the right number on it.
Okay. So do we need to vote to reissue it, basically?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, does anyone like to motion to reissue the certificate of compliance? Or does anyone have any comments on that?
I have no comments. I'll make a motion to reissue the partial certificate of compliance DEP number 164-260 to correct a typo in.
Hold on. I
Yep.
gotta stop you right there. It's the one further up the page, 346. Second action item.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay.
Everything else you said is accurate.
All right, I'll amend that. I make a motion that we issue emergency certification for 39 Blanchett Road to correct the typo.
One more up, I think.
One more up. Oh,
Yes.
jeez.
You want me to
Need
make
to number these. Does someone else want to take a shot at this since I'm failing miserably? I'll make a motion that we issue a certificate of compliance request for NOI 164346 to correct a typo in the DEP number. Do I get it?
Got it.
That was it. Do I have a second?
I second that.
All right, thank you, Helen. Jonathan, how do you vote?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Helen?
Yes,
I also vote yes as well. So that passes. And the next one would be emergency certification for 39 Blanchard Road.
So this address was actually in the process of filing with us to replace their septic system, but it failed in the meantime. So they needed to complete the repair under the emergency certification provisions of the regulations. So this is just the piece of paper that gets issued for that to happen. I would just recommend that you put a special condition on the certification that says that they will continue with that filing that they were working on with us. It will just be retroactive at this point.
Okay. Does anyone else have any comments on this one?
I have no comments and I'm not going to make any more motions.
I'll make a motion to issue an emergency certification with special condition that the filing is going to be completed with us retroactively for 39 Blanchard Road for the septic system replacement.
and I second that.
All right, thank you. Sandy, how do you vote on that?
Yes.
Helen?
Yes,
Jonathan?
Yes.
So I vote yes as well, and the motion passes.
If it's okay with you guys, if we hold the coal tar till the end, because it's a discussion item, if we can just do the other two items will be quicker.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask that actually. So the certificate of compliance partial request.
This
What is
this is a lot off of Brigham Hill. It was part of this old order for the little subdivision that went in there. I forget the name of it. Something corner. But anyways, they just need a partial for this one lot that was shown on the plans at the time for that subdivision. The only thing on those plans for this lot was a sewer line was going to go through. They weren't even talking about building the house yet. That came in a later order. So this is just for purposes of clearing their title.
Okay. All right. Does anyone else have any comments on that?
I have none.
Would anyone like to make a motion on that?
I'll make a motion to issue a partial certificate of compliance for 173.5 Brigham Hill Road.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
All right. Sandy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Jonathan?
Yes.
Helen?
Yes.
All right, I vote yes as well. Motion passes. And then that last one on there is the meeting schedule for 2021.
Yep. Hopefully you guys have had a chance to look at that or can pull it up right now. If you want, I can put it on the screen.
And
We
you-
just wanted to see if anything jumped out at you guys as being a problem, or any dates that anyone knows specifically they won't be able to make it to. Things like that before we make it official.
Do you mind putting it up, Leah?
Yeah.
I can't, I'm having
I
trouble
can't
pulling
see
it
it.
up.
I don't see
One
it on
second.
the Dropbox.
I saw it earlier, but now it's giving me an error.
Yep.
Oh,
one
I just
second.
opened
I
it.
got it. Yep. Now I got it.
Just trying to make it fit on the screen.
I need to refresh or something.
Are we modifying the schedule at all based on it still kind of being COVID during this time as we go through, or are we, I know in the summer we typically space the meetings out a little bit more. Are we changing that schedule at all, or is it consistent with the previous years?
So far this draft is consistent with previous, so it's 2 a month with the exception of the summer.
Well, hopefully by
So-
the summer there's no COVID, or it's a different COVID, I guess. Different worlds, but yeah, because it's very easy to make meetings, in my opinion, just due to being remote. It's easier because we're at home for the most part anyway. So
Yeah, my life got kind of canceled, so I'm pretty much available at any time at night right now.
I don't have a life.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, mine's more recovering from the day and planning for the next one. But yeah, more flexible, definitely.
But just a quick, December, so meeting date, Grafton news date. our
Yeah,
page-
you guys don't have to worry so much about the latter 3 columns. It's more about the very first one. The
Okay.
latter 3 are dates that Samantha and I have to track for
Oh.
applications.
Okay. Yeah. No, my dance card is completely open.
Well, depending on what you guys think, we can keep it at this for now and reevaluate in the spring and decide if we want to add more, or we could do the reverse and add more and then possibly take them away.
I think that's a good plan. Keep it the way it is now, and if things slow up more over the winter, we can make a choice then.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I almost rather have a bunch of shorter meetings in the summer than, some that go to 10:30 at night, but that's just me.
I don't want to camp out.
Yeah, there was maybe 1 or 2 over this summer that were pretty long, and maybe if we had 2 that month instead of 1, it might shorten them, but I get it. I think leave it this way is my opinion, and then reevaluate, this coming spring, winter.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't mind more, but I think it will be harder to take them away than it will be to add them, probably.
All right.
But that does make sense. Do we need to vote on anything for that, Leah, or just review it for now?
I mean, I think we've done a vote in the past, so just for consistency, if you want to do a vote to approve it, it just kind of makes it official.
Sure, who doesn't love a good vote?
I make a motion to approve the 2021 meeting schedule as written.
Do I have a second? That sounded good.
I second that motion.
Sandy,
Yes.
Helen,
Yes,
and Jonathan?
Yes.
I vote yes as well to accept the current 2021 meeting schedule. So that motion passes. And I think that just leaves us with the coal tar based sealant, unless I missed something.
Nope, that's what's left. Just to give a quick intro, this is the topic that came up, I don't know, maybe a couple of months ago now. Someone was concerned about certain types of driveway sealer products. So Samantha has done a deep dive on that topic and has some information to present to you guys, because where we had left it off was trying to see if there was an established link to the commission's charge, where we want to go from there, whether we wanted to do some sort of bylaw changes. So we're here to pick that back up tonight.
Okay.
If I can remember correctly, part of the discussion last time was how we would theoretically enforce it, because we could post it in the bylaw if we wanted to change something, or try to adopt a different bylaw, but a lot of people seal coat their own driveways, and how do we control it or patrol it or whatever. So I think that was part of the discussion last time, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna have Samantha put together a little information to present to you guys that covers some of what other places have done. So I'll just let her give you guys that info, and then we can dive off from there and see what we can figure out.
All right, I just have a couple of paragraphs kind of summarizing the content that I found, and then you guys are free to go about asking whatever you want. All right, so seal coating is marketed to improve the longevity and appearance of pavement. Coal tar is a byproduct of coal coking in the steel industry, and coal tar pitch is the remaining residue after coal tar is distilled. By weight, coal tar pitch contains 50+% polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, so PAHs is what is going to be referred to from here on out, which are now known to contribute to the contamination of neighboring water bodies when applied as a coal tar-based sealant. Coal tar-based sealants contain 20 to 35% coal tar pitch. PAHs move from the seal-coated pavement to other parts of the environment through storm runoff, wind, tire adhesion, foot traffic, and volatilization. A UNH Stormwater Center study found that a parking lot with coal tar-based sealant had 30 times more PAHs in their water runoff than water from an unsealed parking lot. Manufacturer recommendations are for reapplication ranging from 1 to 5 years due to varying rates of wear, with greater wear occurring in colder climates. According to the EPA, PAHs are an environmental concern, as some are toxic, carcinogenic, mutagenic, or teratogenic, which means causing birth defects, to aquatic life, and 7 are probable human carcinogens. USGS found that coal tar-based sealant on average accounted for half of all PAHs found in lakes based on 40 lake sediment cores in cities from Anchorage, Alaska to Orlando, Florida. Some PAHs are toxic to mammals, birds, fish, amphibians, and plants. Possible adverse effects to fish include fin erosion, liver abnormalities, cataracts, and immune deficiencies. Aquatic invertebrates are particularly susceptible to PAH contamination and can result in inhibited reproduction, delayed emergence, sediment avoidance, and mortality. One more paragraph, and then we're good. And that is, so several government bodies ranging from municipal to state levels, plus one federal district ban in DC have been established. This includes bans within Massachusetts in the towns of Westwood and Sudbury. An alternative readily available sealant option is the use of asphalt-based sealant, which only contains 0.7% PAHs and uses little to no coal tar. USGS found that coal tar-based sealants and PAH concentrations are hundreds to thousands of times higher than within asphalt-based sealant or no sealant. While the alternative does still pose environmental risks, it's markedly less so in toxicity in comparison. And we acknowledge the request by Grafton resident Eric Schreier, who brought this to our attention, to implement a ban within the town. But Leah and I had discussed this and we have not been able to determine a way to implement this with any legal standing regarding fines or manpower for ensuring enforcement. So we are proposing that we implement a public outreach program of sorts, sort of through flyers, to alert the residents of this environmental problem in hopes that they, should they opt to use seal coat, this sort of seal coat on their properties, that they choose the less toxic option for the benefit of the community. That's all I've got.
Yeah. So just
Wow.
just a couple of questions. You mentioned, so you had two towns in Massachusetts have done it. What was their bylaw? All pavement sealers or just a specific type?
I believe they were just for the tar coal or coal tar based sealants.
Is that a common sealer that you would go to Home Depot and buy, or is that, I'm actually trying to figure out, you know, what the sealers are that the average person would go get, and whether.
So I think these companies that are the official seal coaters, they carry it and they will recommend it, especially since it seems to be the most cost-effective way, or at least that's how it's
Gotcha.
marketed. But I did check based on Leah's recommendation on websites like Home Depot, since they have a lot of seal coat available. And I checked about 17 of them that were options, and none of them involved coal tar. And
Gotcha.
that might be due to all these other bans happening and that causing these companies to not sell it.
That's a good thing.
They have, is it marketed with that terminology, coal tar, or is it, is consumer facing products, does it use that terminology?
The companies or like Home Depot?
Well, like if you were to buy a bucket of it at Home Depot, would it say that it was coal tar based on it, or would it say like it's, you know, some stupid brand name?
I can't find it. I'm looking at the driveway seal stuff, and I can't find products.
So you have to, when you go find those products, I could try and find it for you, Sandy. But Patrick, I did look at the safety paperwork that they had associated, because some would say no coal tar in the little description, but just to be sure, look in the safety descriptions and it says that nothing's in there from what I saw.
The first one that I just pulled up is Latexite airport grade asphalt driveway sealer, and it specifically says low VOC, coal tar free, PAH compliant, soap and water cleanup. So it sounds like
free, yeah.
a lot of these, and what Samantha said, you know, Home Depot doesn't want to sell, or a hardware store doesn't want to sell one that is illegal, you know, in a town. So they're probably cleaning up their list of products. But if you go to Bill's Seal Coating or something, or whoever's, you know, whatever seal coat company, they may carry something like this.
Exactly.
Which falls under how would we enforce this. So I did reach out to the conservation agent over in Westwood regarding several questions, including how companies are responding and how enforcement occurs, but I just never heard back from her.
The other side of this is one of the temporary fixes in my neighborhood was, they did this in my neighborhood in Grafton, but they did a tar and chip coat. So they spread the tar over the road and then do like a stone dust coat over the top of that to preserve the surface of the road for a couple more years to extend it before they repave. do we know if that also is something that falls under the coal tar? Or is that something that's separate? Is that, did you run across that in your research?
No, I don't think I did.
Okay. I just, that's one thing that they ran around the, you know, they do this in a lot of towns, and they put this, they literally run a tar truck that sprays tar over the road and then dump trucks and then spread the stone over the road. So I'm assuming that that
Was
might,
was it DPW directly, or did DPW hire a company? Because I can ask them.
so when it happened, I reached out to Tim specifically to see what the deal was, because I wasn't that thrilled with it happening in my neighborhood. But I believe it was a subcontractor to the town that did it.
Okay.
So that might be another avenue to look at if we're looking at a ban or some type of a bylaw. If they're going to continue, because I know Tim's gone, but when Tim was here, he was using this as, and the town was using it as a way to preserve the road for 5-10 more years, so they didn't have to repave. So they spent 30 grand instead of 300 grand type of thing.
Right.
So.
And what road do you live on, just in case I need to jog their memory when I ask?
Hingham Road. And so
Alright.
they did the whole airport neighborhood. They've done it on a handful of roads in town.
Yep. They did it in my neighborhood, I want to say 5-10 years ago. So, and I'm not a big fan of it, because if you get it on your car, it's
all over my truck.
yeah. And again, I always wondered what was in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think this information is great. First of all, I'm a little bit smarter, because and it kind of focuses what the issue is. And to, what John was saying is that Home Depot, Lowe's, those companies, because they deal in so many different municipalities and states, they're going to have something that's generally going to meet a lot of different requirements. So they seem to be a little bit different mix, but it's these contractors come around, and they were just up the street from me. And, they come in, it looks, like, black tar, but I have no idea what was in it. And I don't know how you would regulate that. I like the idea of public outreach.
So we also did talk to staff on hand, like DPW and the building department and everybody we could think of, to say, is there some process we just aren't even aware of that anyone has to go through for coating their driveway? But as we suspected, there is none. You don't even need any kind of permit. You can just go to Home Depot and buy it yourself, or hire that company that's, working in your neighbor's yard down the road. So it feels like if we were to put it in the bylaw, which not opposed to, I just feel like it kind of has no teeth right now. Because there isn't a direct step that we could put in place to then, if you needed a permit to seal coat your driveway, then that would be the step. In order for them to get that permit, they have to get sign off from us, and then they'd get to that point and would take care of it there. I just don't see a way to enforce it.
Do we know? Sorry.
Go ahead, Patrick.
I was just curious if we knew, is it cheaper to use those products? Is that typically why they're maybe being used by companies?
Most likely.
That's what I'd seen as in terms of at least marketing. And I also had noticed that there is a difference in use based on the continental divide, so the Rockies, and in the east to the east of that, it is coal tar based sealant is more commonly used versus west. But that seems to be mainly used because of historical use and proximity to those steel distilleries, or plants. So that might just be a long-standing tradition, and now it's really
they used to always do it when I was a kid. That was like a regular thing. Is every few years they'd come in and tar and sand your road, and it was really difficult to ride your bike on it. I mean, it was nasty. But I
As
mean,
it is,
go
oh,
ahead.
sorry. I was just gonna say, as it is right now, we do a lot of outreach stormwater wise under the MS4 permit. We have flyers and posters and postcards and bookmarks and all kinds of things people can pick up or we can distribute,
Yep.
telling you all kinds of things about stormwater, like how to properly dispose of your leaves in the fall, and don't put your dog poo bags in the storm grate in the road and things like that. So I think an easy first step is to add PR type materials that address this, and we can certainly give stacks of them to the DPW office and stacks of them to the building department where I mean, people might not be going just for the seal coating of their driveway, but maybe they're in there for something else.
So, but you
Agreed.
just mentioned something that was really interesting. You mentioned MS4s, right?
Yeah.
Do you know if there's anything in the MS4 that does not allow for this?
I don't think so. And we've also been trying to research things like, is there any action at the state level, like through the DEP or any other agencies looking to take this on at the state level? Samantha found one instance like a few years ago. Someone was trying to pursue a ban through the legislature, but it stalled out and went nowhere.
Yeah, so next week is the final meeting of the Stormwater Advisory Group for DEP, and I'm on it through MACC. So I'm MACC's representative on it, and so like they've talked about what the new what they're going to be putting forward for new rainfall data, which is very interesting. It's actually more than significantly more than what we had thought of about going to Atlas 14. It goes way past. It will be Atlas 14, but on the higher probability as opposed to the midline. Is how whenever you look at Atlas 14, it gives you a range from like low probability, average probability, and a higher probability. It's a scale, and it goes from like 100-year storms like 6 to 10 inches. DEP is actually looking to go up to close to 10 inches on the depth of a 100-year storm. So there's changes coming on that front, and that lines up with some different climate change stuff. But that's all public information. And I'm happy to share kind of the PowerPoint presentation they gave last time. But the final meeting is next week. And so that's curious about, because they're going to be talking about the MS4. And so I'm just wondering if I can have an opportunity maybe to see what they say and see if there's any opportunity to ask those questions. MS4 is all about water quality.
Yep.
And so I don't know. And part of that is what you do for the, the general permit versus the individual permits and stuff. But that's interesting. So I might be able to at least ask about it, because what
Okay.
we may be able to do is use the MS4 as a vehicle to be a little bit more stringent on this.
Okay.
And I don't
can
know,
check.
I don't know exactly how that would work, but that might be a question, because that's a big deal for water quality. Then that might be an avenue to go for.
Okay.
The other side of the outreach, there's probably a half dozen seal coating companies in the Worcester Grafton area. Maybe it's worth, reaching out to them directly. I don't know if that's something that we can or can't do, but
I would think to continue Samantha's research is simply ask, what type material do you use, and what is the type that's most used, meaning, the tar material or whatever, and yeah, see what they say. I don't think it. I mean, what can they say? I'm not going to tell you. I mean, that's their choice, and that's fine. But I think they'd be happy to. Yeah. So.
I know Leah had spoken with Paul at some point about him reaching out to some companies, and they didn't have anything to offer him. I don't know what he asked in particular, but I could try reaching out to them myself and get a little more.
There's one company I see all over the place locally. Next time I'll see it, I should take just a write down what the name of it is. I forget, the engineered pavement or something. I see it.
Oh,
It's a
asphalt engineering, yeah.
yeah, it's like a green, it's a, you know, I see it all over the place. You know,
Yeah.
and just call, be totally transparent on who you are, and just, you know, just say you're trying to do a little research, so we don't want to, you know, pursue something that doesn't make sense, but ask them and see what they say.
I think some of the paving contractors might do it as well. So the typical pavers might do the seal coating, but there are some, Premier Seal Coating is the one that I was thinking of, but there's a bunch of them in the Worcester, Sutton, Grafton
Yep.
area. So that might be worth
Yeah.
it.
No, this is really good information, though.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think I agree with you, Leah. In some regard, the driveway sizes that are small enough so that the homeowner can do them themselves, just to make an educational broadsheet to say, are you aware, you know, it's worth looking into the material, read the label, kind of more educational, because I think you got to be a little diplomatic here without causing a big ruckus. And for the folks that are just, they have a small driveway and it's, you know, it's okay, this weekend we're going to seal coat the driveway and we're going to go to Home Depot and we're going to buy half a dozen pails of this stuff just to make it more of an educational thing, to read the labels and think about the application and the material, would be a step in the right direction. I mean, without having a, you know, all these comments are great. I just think too that education can be a great stepping stone at ground level. You know what I mean? Well, that's
Yeah,
just,
absolutely. And
Yeah.
we can even do things like, you know, submit a slide to have run on GCTV and
right. Or even even the website itself, the town website,
right.
you know, just kind of like fun facts. Do you know?
Yeah, absolutely. We can start on that kind of thing, and we can also talk to companies and see what
Yeah.
that angle is looking like as well.
Because I think you might find a couple of the companies are aware of this and actually
Mm.
probably, you know, market to that they're better because they're more environmentally friendly. I don't know. I mean, I just don't know a lot about it, but I wouldn't be
You'd hope.
surprised.
You'd hope that that would be the case.
Yeah, I mean, if you have those conversations with companies and you talk about with those companies informing the town, it gives them incentive to want to offer the better environmentally friendly, possibly more proactively, since they know that that question might come up from homeowners.
Mm.
So you are coming at it from a couple different angles.
Yeah.
So I think that's good.
It seems like it's a, you know, where it's like a huge ocean of possibilities and information and realizations and so on. And it's kind of our duty of sorts to just make the public aware of these things, because I want to have faith in the people and the folks that are just simply improving their property, improving their driveways. I don't think anybody would do it intentionally, but they just might not know, you know, about these things.
Right.
So I think it's good to educate and take it from there.
Okay. Well, we'll pursue these couple avenues for now. And then, as I mentioned a couple meetings ago, we will have updates to make to the stormwater bylaw regardless on a separate topic in order to bring it into compliance with the most current MS4 requirements. So when we're having that discussion, we can circle back around to this and see if it's something we want to add in or not, we don't have to make that decision right now, but I think these few avenues we talked about tonight are a good start in the meantime to help spread the word out there.
Great.
That's good.
Thank you, Samantha, for doing all that research.
Thank you.
No problem.
That's all we have for you guys.
I noticed there's a couple attendees out there, and Samantha noted them in the chat as well. But if you guys had anything that you were here for in particular, we're pretty much at the end of our meeting. So if you have anything else, please let us know in the chat. I'm just
Crickets.
waiting a minute to see if anyone typed
Sure.
anything. Well, not seeing anything coming through. I think that's everything, right, Leah?
Correct.
As you were saying.
Yep.
Would anyone like to motion to close the meeting?
Make a motion to close the meeting.
I second that.
Thank you, Jonathan and Helen. Sandy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Jonathan,
Yes.
Helen,
Yes.
and I vote to adjourn as well. So the meeting is adjourned.